Hey, baby girl.
Hello.
I
Hang
can't.
on. I know. Let me see what I can figure out here.
Stephanie's iPad.
Stephanie's iPad. Oh my God. I
Stephanie's
don't.
kind of weird.
Hi. Okay. Is that better?
Hey.
Hi. I'm so cold. I have to be in like three shirts and I have a big, like enormous warm blankie over me today. It's
What?
so cold.
What's the temperature?
I don't know, like maybe about 6 or 7 degrees.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
I didn't
know. I
realize
know.
it's
Well,
73
that's
degrees here.
I know. Well, you know what? But that's in Celsius, so it's like maybe like
Oh,
50.
I
It's like
forget.
but it's like 55
Okay,
maybe.
that's on the cold. It was cold here this morning. Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. Life
I'm
is crazy, but so grateful, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Percent. I'm recording. So let's talk about rapé.
Sure.
All about rapé. First of all, what is it, and what is it, and why is it sometimes called hape and sometimes called rapé? My understanding is that it just depends on the tribe. Tell me.
Yeah. You know what? I honestly don't know 100% of this story because obviously there are tribes out there that have their own story that maybe hasn't been told. When I was introduced to the plant and to this medicine as a discipline and as a cleansing and connecting tool, it was called to me as rapé, tobacco rapé, spelled RAP with an accent above the E in Spanish. It's also called rapecito because it's, little tiny bit of tobacco because of the way that we use it. And hape as well can be different ways that different tribes may have expressed the word. And so therefore we've used an H to translate it. And also too, it's in English, it's kind of a little bit of a questionable word when you see it. So when people write it out phonetically and write HA hyphen PAY, all
uh,
of a sudden it doesn't have as looming
your
undertone.
tones.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just a translation has that it has evolved just like language always does. Got it. Okay. And I
Yeah,
just like when someone's introduced to you as like you were introduced to me as Steffi. So you will forever be Steffi unless you decide that you would like me to call you something else. And so it was introduced to me as Rapé, so it is Rapé.
sure. And knowing and understanding it can be hape as well, or tobacco snuff,
Mhm.
that there may be other things that other people describe it as, and that is 150% okay.
Word. And what even is it?
Okay, so
Okay.
so tobacco rape or hape, here I have it in a little plastic container, is actually pulverized dry tobacco that's ceremonially prepared for use with the ashes of sacred fires from various sacred plants or essences
Mhm.
that, for example, flowers or minerals or clay from the earth.
So it's a blend.
And it's a blend. And again, depending on the tribe, the area, and how that lifestyle of that tribe is, they may use it for different applications in different ways, different times of the day with different blends and different things. It's an intentional tool because tobacco has three important purposes for us. One, it is to cleanse us, to allow our body on the physical plane to be clean enough to understand what is coming into us and to make room for receiving. Two, it is a connector. It connects us with spirit. It is what we use as an indicator. Hey, we're here. The smoke is here, and it's to be carried to our ancestors, our loved ones, the great spirit, creator, God, whatever that greater sense of your spirituality is. And the third thing that tobacco does is it amplifies whatever it is that we are needing or what our intention is. So obviously, tobacco rapé is going to be connecting this pulverized tobacco and the energetic earth energy of the ashes. It is using it as a snuff, which isn't actually inhaled, it's delivered to the body. It's a practice of receiving. Tobacco is a masculine medicine. So masculinity is about taking and providing and collecting and gathering and providing. But the process of using rapé as a discipline, as a way to connect, as a vehicle, I like to call it a vehicle to Great Spirit, having that there, all of a sudden now we're connecting through our pineal gland. We're actually hitting inside the body, and we're using a different way of connecting the great masculine spirit with our body, not through our lungs when we smoke it. So it's giving us a lot of different perspectives
It's
of
like that
what it means.
receiving that seed of the rapé up into the pineal
Yes,
gland.
exactly. And then we're going to clean, connect, and amplify. What are we here to do? That's it. And the pineal gland is really, really important because it is the part of our body that is the spiritual seat of our soul, that part of us that allows us to have that identity with belief and miracles and amazing things. But the pineal gland is also important because it is the part of our body that connects with things like minerals and really, really dangerous environmental toxins and sensory things. So by using tobacco rapé, we're actually cleaning and allowing the pineal gland to be activated and to allow it to be awakened. And that creates a bit of a shift in our circadian rhythm. It creates a bit of a shift in what's going on in the balance of our body. And sometimes that creates a little bit of upset within ourselves when we receive this medicine. It can make us a little bit dizzy, unsettled, clammy, sweaty. Sometimes people throw up because it's bringing us back to an alignment to receive masculine spirit, which is strength and energy. And also it's the sun. And so tobacco is so much an ingredient of its love is the sun. So having the energy of the fire and having the energy of the sun and the rainforest and all of the plants and the flowers also give us that extra bit of energy to be grounded and to be connected.
Mm-hmm. And people ask me all the time, what does it feel like? And I can, give it's different now, right? Obviously, than the very first time before I did Aya, our mutual friend was like, you need to try the rapé before you do it in ceremony. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh. And like, I like let that energy just kind of explode out of me. I was so new to medicine and didn't understand. Even though I've been teaching yoga for 10 years, I still hadn't made that connection of maintaining that energy. And so my first experience was ow. And then in Aya later that night, it was well received. And then I have had different experiences every time. Daily practice is its own separate. So how would you describe what it feels like the first time you receive rapé? It being having the tools and the guidance of knowing this is how it's going to feel. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to process rather than someone just like blowing it, and you're not ready
Right.
for an
Well, I
experience.
think right. I think the most important thing to know about working with this medicine is that you are in control of your breath. This is an exchange of energy. You can either deliver the medicine to yourself, which means you're delivering your own energy to yourself. So you have to be conscious of what result and intention you have,
Mm.
or you may be receiving this medicine from somebody else. So when you have that balance and you understand that this is an exercise in receiving and it might not be comfortable, then you can surrender. My first time, the best way I can describe it, I would say it was delivered into a medium delivery. It was not delivered in a soft way, not at all. But for me, what it felt like was that I had an instant ice cream headache that was coming from the inside out. There's this sort of awakening in this force, and it's sort of hot and cold. But for people, there can be pressure in their head, it can be in their face, in the back of their neck. And then as that medicine has connected into our bloodstream, it's now going to work through the parts of our body. So the other thing to think about as well is maybe you receive the medicine and it's very easy, but maybe 10 minutes after receiving it, now that it's in your
Energy.
bloodstream,
Mm-hmm.
energy has a different response.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time you sit with this medicine, you want to prepare yourself with time and space to rest following and to make sure that you feel balanced, because it is going to be a shakeup to the system.
That's a really good way to describe it. It's like ice cream or fire, or just like the first time, because you're like, it's not Coke. Okay,
No,
this
no.
is not the same thing. And it gets up in there, and it's okay. And it's an unusual sensation the first time.
Right.
But okay. And then you're accustomed to it. And there's, I think for a lot of people, there's like a control freak nature to like, I gotta exhale, or I'm gonna like tense, or like but like if you're true.
Right. And that's the rejection of wanting to receive, right?
Yeah, and that's like, that fight or flight, that survival mode, that is what the medicine is here to help us heal for so many people.
Right.
But for me, it's not the blow, because there are different types of blows, you or
Hmm.
really long, or like so many different blows. And the energy of the person who's blowing it to you is so relevant, so
Hmm.
freaking relevant. And then for me, it's not about the blow necessarily, it's what comes after. And depending on the blend of the rapé and who blows it, even if I give it to myself, it's always different. And for a long time, I was feeling like a lot of energy just coming out of my hands. So at first,
Hmm.
when I started with rapé, I started holding my fists to keep that energy, and I was training myself not to just explode and be like a victim. And then I was like, okay, and then I would just like could feel it pulsating out. And then now in a recent rapé that I was just delivered to me, I had a sensation which I haven't had in quite some time, and it was like knocked me down. And it was, the energy, it's because it's like a 1-2 punch. Like you get the blow and you sit for a minute, like melting in your brain, and then the energy comes, and it's like like off your shoulders and your head and your hands, and you're
Right.
like, it can be quite powerful, or it can be quite mild, I think is something
Right.
important to say.
And that's exactly it. It's an intuitive medicine that's going inside of our body, and it's meeting us at where we are at. So there's going to be times where we are anxious and pent up, and the rapé is going to hit us harder than times where we're relaxed and we've been meditating and we're in a super calm space and everything in our world is perfect. And that's the beauty of this medicine. This medicine is about allowing your body to have a relationship with the masculine, cleansing your body of these toxins that are both environmental and also emotional, that are all energy, all of it connected together. And then the weave of the web of what is energetic and what is emotional, and how our ego has played into that. So the rapé allows it to come up into our body, and it allows us to go, oh, holy ego, now you have to take a break for a moment. Now you have nothing better or possible to do than sitting and being present. And that's essentially a lot about what this medicine is about. And that's why when you had your experience recently, all totally legit and valid. It meets you at where you're at, different experience, different energy. And now the work that's why rapé is so rewarding when you work with it in a dieta or in a discipline of your daily life, because you see the progress. It gives you a measurement and a report card when
Yeah.
you're being consistent. And that's another beautiful thing about it.
And something that you said to me a long time ago that I never forgot is, I have to ask myself if I'm doing the rapé to find like and more or less you said, am I bored? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it just like a habit? Am I seeking something? Am I cleansing something? Am I calling something? Or is it just, am I bored? And I got into that for a little bit, where I found myself just doing it like habitually without quite really thinking about it. And the medicine protects itself, which is so interesting, because I wasn't able to receive it for a while. It was like a dud. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
It's
so
shooting blank.
frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And then but it's so humbling. And then you have to like come back and like
Exactly.
get with it, and then be ready to receive it with intention.
And I think that brings up a really great point that's really important to know about tobacco rapé. We use a lot in this type of medicine work as a supporting tool for those who are looking at recovery from addiction. And I mean addiction to substance, but also addiction in the sense of behavior, because we as human beings are addicts. That is our vice. We are addicted in one way or dependent upon something one way or another. And using this medicine and setting an intention allows us to break those cycles that are happening in our brain and the frontal lobe that are controlling our behavior and our mood and our hunger and our anger and our sex drive and all of those triggers. And it now allows things to reset. So like you said, if we're using it with intention and we're not depending upon it or creating a habit, because rapé is not addictive, but the habit of creating it as a depending stepping stool can be. And again, like you said, it's exactly, the medicine protects itself because there's a loss of interest in what happens, because there's not the same response in the stimulus. So the medicine just becomes null and void. And then when it's time again and you reconnect with that masculine energy, which is meeting you at where you are, all of a sudden it's reignited in a beautiful way. So we do have to be mindful, and not just with tobacco rapé, but with all medicines, that we're not using them as a dependable thing. Like every second Monday, I sit with my bufo. Yes, that's important. I understand for some people that are managing a chronic situation or dealing with a chronic traumatic integration that's taking some time. Yes, but it's about having the control and the discipline and the free will to say, what is my intention for sitting in this 20 minutes? What's the lesson I want to receive from it? And so for me, that is, again, just as equally as important as receiving the goods of Pachamama herself.
And this is a perfect way to circle into how it is of the earth, and how it is of us, and how there's this, how plant medicine is so different from any other form of healing, and that it's such a symbiotic relationship, like how it will go null and void if it's in abundance and without intention, just like a dating app. Everybody's there. This is blah blah blah. There's a million more. Or like you have so much food in the fridge, it goes moldy. You have so many cars, you don't like love and take care of the car. It's like with the rapé is the exact same way, and your body rejects it and it rejects you, and it's just this cyclical universal connection. And I want you to say real quick before we wrap up how you said the rapé is experienced, how it can enhance, like if you're on mushrooms, how it can enhance, how it can clean. And say that one more time, because that is the nitty-gritty of how it works.
Sure. Okay. So when we're working with this medicine, it, like I said, has three major purposes: to cleanse, to connect, and to amplify. If we're looking at beginning a journey, we want to sit with this medicine because we want to clean our channel and we want to ground ourselves and be in a secure, stable state of presence. If we're in a process with medicine, maybe we're on a really intense mushroom journey, or maybe we're sitting with peyote, or something that's a long, drawn out, visual, physical, sensational medicine. The sensory experience and the visions might actually be difficult for our body to handle. So somebody as a practitioner may use tobacco rapé in that moment to bring somebody back to a place of presence, to allow a cleansing there, not of the toxins that they want to get out of their body, but out of the ego that's stuck, that the other medicine is trying to work with. So it becomes kind of that leverage tool to allow us to get out of a bad trip. But also, if we're sitting with medicine and everybody around us is having a great time and we're just wondering why we can't really connect or feel into it, again, it's right. The medicine is going to ground us again, create us a little bit of a cradle within ourselves and allow us to feel the confidence we need to surrender to the medicine that's in our system. So just like life is all one big ceremony, when we need to ground, and we also need to bring ourselves that little bit of motivation, that masculine energy of like, hey, the sun will rise, let's do this, let's go, let's be here. That's where this is a beautiful medicine. And again, it can be used for relaxation and for rest, and it can be used for our reproductive menstrual time by using different herbs and all of those sorts of things. There's a realm within each of our wellness aspects of self that we can use this medicine for. But the key principle is that it's creating presence, it's cleaning us, it's amplifying what it is that we're looking for, and working through manifestation to connect us to our spirituality.
And those pillars can often overlap each other in each session. You can be cleaning and connecting at the same time. Of course. If you build a relationship with it, just like all of the ancestral medicine that we talked about.
Sure.
Well, I think that pretty much covers rapé.
Totally. I just wanted to show some of the tools because if people are watching and they have seen some of the paraphernalia that is used with the rapé, they're not sure what it is. This way they can have a bit of an understanding. So we have two different ways. You can apply the medicine yourself to yourself, or you can have it delivered to you, which is more traditional. So we have two different I have two different tools I'm going to show you. One is a little bit bigger and one is a little bit smaller. This one's called a tipi. And this one is made with bone. And it's created as if it's a long tube that goes up into the nose. So it would be like this. And the person would blow into this tube and it would be received up into boop, 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 boop. This one is, I think you know this one. This one is a little bit bigger, and the slope of how it's created is a little bit different. And again, it's all part of the tribe, your impression, your idea, your way of blowing. It's your signature, right? And so this teepee is, again, this one's created with bamboo. And so the person who's applying it blows on this end, blows on this end. It's complicated because I'm seeing my reversed self. So I would be blowing on this end, and this would be going into the nose onto this end. And you can have these instruments that are huge. They can be like over a meter long and look like this giant trumpet thing. The point is that this is a vehicle that's amplifying the process of delivery. And then we have our little tool, which is called a coripi or a coripe. And this one is very simple. Sometimes they're made with very ornate pieces and decoration on them. One of the most important things that I like to mention is because, especially as being a woman, and I'm not very big, as you know, I'm kind of little, I have a really hard time being petite in my features, finding a tool that I can actually use. So this works where I put it in my mouth and I put it in my nose.
But it fits
and it fits me.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones I've had or I've seen people are selling have beautiful ornate work and they have a necklace and all these different things on them. But I go to try and apply them and I'm like this. And I can't do it. So it's a personal thing. I prefer simplicity. This one, again, is palo sangre. It's just natural Amazonian wood, and they can come in all different types of things: bone, wood, resin, and all sorts of because in the Amazon they use different types of like kind of resin, or like think of like Fimo clay, different types of
I saw
like polymer clay.
I saw one out of stone, like a stone the other day, and I was like,
yes.
Wow. And it was like carved like an eagle. It's beautiful, but it was huge.
Yes.
So it wasn't gonna work for me.
An antler is another one that can be used when it has the right sweep. Or I've seen just an entire really beautiful branch that just maybe has a little bit of its own natural curvature that's slowly hollowed out from either end. So it can be a lot of different things.
Okay, well, let me grab this because I think it's relevant. I almost bought a bone one the other day, but I'm getting really comfortable. I feel good in blowing this one, and it just goes just to show that this one is like the bigger one that you did, but it was a different, which means the air is going to come in, that sharing of wind is going to come in different. And then you gave me this little thing, and I've had so many opportunities to get different ones, but I just love this little thing. I'm being
right because it's so little and cute, and when things are miniature, they're sacred. That's what I tell people. When you have like something little and cute, it's sacred. Remember.
And then I think we could also share how your rapé can expire, and there's different ones. And the darker it is, the more tobacco is in it. So this one's a little bit lighter. I'm actually feeling like I'm feeling like I need to refresh some of my rapé because I can feel it differently now.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely. And there can be different ways, like you said, the rapé usually lasts about 6 months once it's been opened. If
yeah.
it's completely closed and airtight, fine, but it is going to lose some of its power over time. And as you're opening it and closing it and opening and closing it, that sort of thing. One thing that I've done when I've had little bits at the bottom of each of my containers that are getting hard to get out, I've mixed them
Mhm.
all together and just had kind of like
The witch's
Russian
brew.
roulette. Yeah, the witch's brew. Totally the witch's brew. Swamp water.
Yeah.
And on those days where I'm just like, okay, the intention is see what happens.
See what happens. Totally.
Then sometimes I use that as a means to get rid of all the leftover little bits that are happening. And sometimes also, if I have some that I've forgotten about that I, left and I didn't know where it was and it's beyond date, then I often offer it. So I'll either put it like as a blessing around the property I'm at on the four corners. I'll offer it around a fire, onto the earth, or just whatever I feel called to be present and to thank that plant and that medicine for being there.
And I think that this, our conversation is not only helpful for, because we wanted to keep this short, but of course, like we could just talk about medicine forever.
I
Um,
know it never is short.
I think this is helpful for facilitators as well, because, well, one, and I learned this from our mutual friend Ali, and she had explained in retreat, and I didn't know this about tobacco and how the smoke goes up, like goes
Mm-hmm.
up to spirit, and instead of, and I just thought that was so beautiful, and it kind of was like a full circle moment to help me understand and connect with the medicine, because you have to have like your own personal relationship with each medicine, and that comes over time. You can't force it, and the
Right.
integration like lasts forever. Um, and oh, also, if you're receiving rapé, expect burping.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you're spitting out these loogies, it will be brown. It will be the rapé, and don't be alarmed. And then, I have, of course, seen people throw up, but that's not very common. It depends on where how they're, what's happening within their life.
Right. And absolutely. And I think the thing is too, is oftentimes this medicine is delivered in a circle, in a sharing circle, sometimes at a studio or in a group at a retreat. And sometimes people are not expecting it to be as powerful as it is. So they
Right.
often will leave the space and just go lay down, and they may have a bit of a purge later. The
Right.
one thing I find as well with tobacco rapé is if it's the first thing I do in the morning. So when I get up in the morning, that's the first thing. But my stomach all of a sudden gets a little bit upset, and it's like
Totally.
my body naturally knowing that that's your thing to do now, honey. Now it's time to go.
Because
And
you're
so
in
people,
ceremony.
right, I'm in
Yeah.
ceremony. I'm
Yeah.
waking up to my new ceremony of the day.
Right.
And if we're in this for like the first time and we're just receiving it and we don't know that, we tend to feel shameful about what's going on, and we tend to
Right.
think that there's something wrong with us. So
Right.
people will often excuse themselves and go to the bathroom, but really just being there with us, with
Yeah.
your snotty, dirty
It's
tissue or a
okay.
bucket,
Yeah.
is okay, because we're celebrating the lubrication of life.
Hmm.
And when you said about what Ali said about fire and smoke and carrying things forward, that's very important, and it's very true, because that's also why when we deliver rapé in a ceremony that we're really honoring rapé, we're going to elevate those prayers by smoking tobacco as well and unifying those both elements. But also, if we're now receiving rapé and our body is combating this receiving by purging liquid and mucus and all of these things, we can look at our inner fire and our inner water, creating an inner relationship, which is vapor or steam or a transformation. So if you're purging and you're, a slobbery, slippering mess and your eyes are watering, and sometimes I even feel like my ears are leaking somehow or like they're sweaty
Yes.
inside, right?
Yeah. Sweaty inside. Yeah.
Yeah. So if
Weird,
you
but
can even
yeah.
imagine this weird, clammy eared situation,
Yeah.
and
Short term.
trusting short term, very short term, but if you can trust in that process and be present and accept that, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're allowing like a chemical reaction, a fever. It's like a fever break, right? It's allowing that to end. It's putting an end to a cycle that maybe you don't want to continue in your head. No more loops.
That's gotta be the most, I think, important takeaway of the rapé is not to have shame as you're purging. Because it's
Mhm.
not like, people approach like ayahuasca and they're so afraid, or combo and they're afraid, and it's understandable, but rapé is more or less a mild integrative medicine, and very short term, and when it's not like on every time you sit with it, you're not just like you're not throwing up your lunch. Like, it's
Right.
not like that. It's like loogies, and it's okay, and it's cleaning, and that's what it's supposed to be doing. And then if you're a facilitator, you've been working with medicine for a while, and you're an energetic person, then you might, kind of have those sympathy pains, and you might purge a little bit too, just from sitting next to that person.
Sure.
So
Things are possible. And even when we think that we understand exactly what's going on, when you are 100% in the channel of delivering and sharing and being vulnerable for these people and with these people, of course, we're going to have experiences and sensations. And that's what also reminds us that we are also always healing, like you said. So the other thing is, if you do go to a rapé circle and there are going to be other people there and they're going to be losing possibly emotions they no longer want, and you feel uncomfortable about that, a suggestion can be just to imagine an invisible bubble of energy around yourself of golden light or rainbow light, or like you can make it like leopard, like sort of jaguar, like I do.
what?
Or I know. Or you can also take a crystal, put it in your belly button, and either put a band-aid over it or put a bandana around your belly. Or like when we wear our red sash, the reason why we're wearing that is because it's the color that the ancestors or the energy can see, and they're aware that we're putting a boundary to the entry of our energetic beginning.
Mhm.
So if you're going to be sharing medicines and you're nervous or you're not sure because you know that you're maybe a very sensitive or highly intuitive, empathic person, it's cool because you're going to learn from sitting in these environments with other people. There's nothing better than university of life, of group ceremony. But be aware that you have the ability to also give yourself that extra protection and that extra grounding if you feel that you need it.
And you said something to me, a warning, and it was very important for me when I started delivering rapé, about opening yourself up as a channel, and
Mm.
how you have to be conscious and prepared and protected, and not just start blowing people because
Mhm.
you're open. You said, this is what you said, you open yourself up to a channel, and it's like you turn a porch light on to the other side, and
Mhm.
anything can slip on through. And so that's something, as a facilitator, that's so important, that I'll never forget. So thank you
Yes,
for
it's
telling me that.
you're welcome. And that's why also if you see people, I'm just looking around for my little bottle of agua florida. It's a little bottle of like alcohol type perfume that you often see in medicine work and Amazonian dietas and plant medicine rituals. This is something we use as well with rapé to clean our instruments and to clean our own energies when we're working and to reset any entities or beings, feelings, lingering things. So there are a lot more facets of working with this medicine as a practitioner, obviously, but for a general aspect of it, it is something that we don't forget, that we make sure we take care of this medicine as well.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much for your sharing this knowledge, this lineage, and passing it on so others can help heal and be healed. And I love you.
You too, sister. Have a beautiful day.